Welcome into Sports Around the Bow. We're restarting.
Around the bow.
Welcome to Sports Around the Bar, your favorite sports talk show, is what I was trying to say.
And the bow.
It's rough, man. I already popped my beer. I'm messing up the intro. I don't even know what the intro is. I've been meaning to change it forever, and I haven't done it yet. Welcome in. We've got a lot of football to talk today. I hope that's why you're here. I am Jake, your bartender, as always, and I'm joined on center stool by Drew, and he told me to stop saying that, but I'm going to keep saying it. Welcome in. We have a lot of NFL action to talk about, but we're going to talk about this Giants game and how the Patriots blew them out at the last second, and are they a 16-0 team? Are they any good? Are they bad? Is this the worst Patriots we've seen? Is it the best Patriots we've seen? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about every other NFL game leading up to Sunday Night Football, so no Sunday, no Monday Night Football on tonight's show, but we'll get to every other game going on this week.
Right, and Sheree already wants to know, are you drinking too much already? Is that even
No, I'm just bad. I'm just bad at this, Drew. I mean, we've been doing it for 200 and some episodes.
That's not even English.
I know.
Too much to drink. That it doesn't go together.
We're talking about that. Sound it out.
No, I'm saying the words don't belong together.
They don't mean anything. Yeah, exactly. Patriots, Giants. Are you ready?
I guess, never mind. Yeah.
No, I got the joke.
It wasn't funny.
It wasn't killing, so I was like, let's move on.
I guess.
All right, let's start with the Giants and the Patriots. 35-14 sounds a lot better than 21-14 with 8 minutes left to go, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Ian, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Dude. To be honest with you, I don't want to be part of the bandwagon where everyone's sitting there saying, the Patriots got this easy schedule, blah, blah, blah. They've not looked that good the first half of every game they played.
And also, to be fair, the Patriots are slow starters, right? Every year it seems like the first 4 or 5 games they don't play as well. Is that atypical of the Patriots?
Yeah, but look at their opponents.
True.
That's what
I'm playing devil's advocate here. When you're playing teams like the Redskins and the Giants and the Dolphins and the Jets and the Bills, sorry I said it too, you'd think we'd be seeing a little bit more dominant of a performance from the start of the game to the end of the game. Now, they're blowing people out. I'll give them credit. At the very least, I say this all the time, great teams overcome, and great teams find a way to win. They're doing that, and they're doing it very convincingly. It's just if you watch these games, you're going into halftime, and you're like, are the Patriots about to blow a game to the Redskins? Are they really letting the Dolphins hang around? Are the Jets somehow hanging with these guys? Even Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo hung around forever, and if not for a special teams touchdown, probably going to beat them. Mm-hmm. Honestly, Drew, I look at this Patriots team, and I'm like, what do we have here? Because everyone was ready to say the Chiefs aren't that good anymore. I saw a bunch of power rankings come out, and they're like, it's over for them. It's over. Write them off.
Worst team.
How much different is it for the Patriots, who, even though they're winning games, are they unbeatable? Are they this team that is just deserves to be at the top of the heap, and everyone should say this is the best team in football?
I mean, deserve to be up there? Yeah. They do. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You got Belichick, you got Tom Brady, and they haven't lost a game. There's no doubt about it. I'm glad you guys are with me. Ian says not enough to drink, and Nate said there's no such thing as too much to drink.
That's right. I'll just keep drinking until I drown.
I want to watch.
Not the first time you said that to me. The answer's still no. Going into this game, what did you think about Daniel Jones? 161 yards. 15 of 31 against a good secondary. I'll give him this. Regardless of what you think about the Patriots and where they're at as a team, no one's saying the secondary's not doing his job. I mean, Stephon Gilmore looks like he's the best corner in football. They're absolutely killing the game, Drew.
Yeah.
For Daniel Jones to come out, have 161 yards, yes, he threw 3 picks, still at 150 yards. How is it a setback? Is this kind of what we expected?
No, he had nobody. He had Golden
Tate.
That was it.
Sterling Shepard, right?
No, he didn't play.
Was he out?
Yes.
I was going to say, I didn't see him all
Ingram
night, but I thought he was there.
Goldman out. Barkley obviously out.
And Golden Tate had a good game.
Well, he was the only
100 yards. Yeah.
I'm just saying he had nobody to throw to. I want to throw the 3 picks completely out just because he's a rookie. He's playing against Belichick. Everyone knows that stat, that statistic. Belichick just dominates rookies. I'm not saying those 3 picks didn't happen. That's not what I want to dwell on about this game. I mean, this guy literally kept this team in, even though he's turned the ball over and keeping the game always on the side of the fence for the Patriots. I mean, I can't blame this guy. I mean, he's just doing the best he can with nobody out there.
And Steven says the Patriots' defense is nasty. They literally get turnovers at will. He doesn't care about who they're playing. They've put scores on their opponents. They're up 190-48. How can anyone say something bad about that? Yes. But they're starting really slowly, and you don't get to play these teams every week. It's kind of like the Alabama talk. When you're killing teams 50-10, but you're playing Northern Texas, is it impressive? And again, the NFL is much narrower margins. I will agree to that. Are the Giants a powerhouse? Are the Jets a powerhouse? No. Are the Dolphins a powerhouse?
No.
Are the Redskins a powerhouse?
No.
Are the Bills a powerhouse?
No.
And every one of these games has been close to going into halftime. And they put it on them. We've let the bad teams kind of fall apart. The defense has definitely made plays. I'm not challenging the defense here. No. I think they might still be a little susceptible to the run game. They're playing pretty well right now against, again, weaker teams. I think when they go and play one of these teams that can actually run the ball, that was the way you beat the Patriots last year. I still think that kind of applies. They haven't really upgraded. I think they've gotten worse, to be honest. Losing a guy like Trey Flowers, I think it's going to hurt them up front. But it hasn't showed up. If Saquon Barkley plays in this game, and they're going in and it's 21-14, could we possibly see a different result out of this? Could the Giants have upset them?
Yeah, I think so.
I do too. I think when you look at Tom Brady, I know he threw for 340 yards, but again, no touchdowns. He had to run the ball in twice himself. If you have Saquon out there and they're able to control the clock a little bit more, and it's 21-14, again, this should have been a game that we're just destroying the Giants because that defense is terrible. Yeah. I've been saying it since before the season started. This is going to be a bad group, and they are. They're giving up almost 400 yards to every team they play. I think it was 4 out of 6 games they've given up 400 yards of offense. This is a bad defense. And the game didn't get out of hand until the last couple minutes.
Right. No, I'm right there with you. I want to get to some of these comments as I'm writing down the name. Steven goes off and says again, 190 to 48.
That was the one I just read.
Oh, did you say
Never mind. No, I'm just kidding. I read it.
It's a different one. It's a 190 to 48 against professional teams. Look how many turnovers this D gets. It's insane. And on top of that, they have Brady the GOAT at question. Tom Brady and the GOAT at coach. No question, New England is the number one in this league like always. Again, we'll sit there and say I believe that they are the number one team. They've earned it. They've earned that right. They've won way too many Super Bowls, and they still have the two components that make this team as good as they are. But this defense and that scoring number that you keep throwing out there, Steven, I think you almost have to put an asterisk next to it.
A couple of those teams are winless.
Until they find a team on their schedule that's coming up here soon that...
They also played a backup quarterback for the Jets. They didn't play Sam Darnold because he was out for that. They played 2 0-5 teams. I don't know, man. I don't know.
You just kind of got to put it like just a paper clip in it until they face a better team. When the Cowboys come up, when the Chiefs come up, let's see what they look like then. They'll probably win the games. I will probably pick the Patriots to win these games. It's just you can't sit there and constantly say that this team is so great when the opponents are lesser than them and bottom of literally the whole entire league. Yes, they're professional teams. Yes, they should play better. But we're all realistic here. The Dolphins are probably not going to win a game. Or the Redskins are not going to win a game.
Hold on now. Sharif's saying they're going to win this game. One of them has to win, right? Because they play this week.
My point is that you can't sit there and crown this as the best team in the league on defense without playing.
It's not a runaway.
A top league scorer in this team or in the league.
And my point is, it's not a runaway. Everyone's talking about the Patriots like it's over. It's done and dusted. This team's amazing. You should not question whether they're the best team in football right now because they're undefeated. I'm going to say question it. Take it all the way to the bank. Yeah, they're 5-0, but they've played absolutely nobody. You'll criticize anyone else for it, especially college football. You'll say, oh, they're not playing anybody. I think we need to criticize the Patriots for who they played. And it's not their fault. They're beating the teams in front of them, and they're blowing them out. Like you said, it's 190-48 score-wise through 5 games. That is impressive. But what's not impressive is when I watch them play Washington or Miami, and it's 10-7 going into halftime. I just wonder if they start slow against one of these teams that can actually put up a bit of a fight, are they going to be able to beat them going down the road? And if you look at their schedule, I just want to ask you, Drew, do we have a chance of having an undefeated team this year in New England?
I do. I definitely think it's a chance.
I'm going to read you the rest of these games really quick. Week 7, they start on the road against the Jets again. They get Cleveland after that. They go on the road to Baltimore, a bye week, on the road to Philadelphia, home against Dallas, on the road against Houston, home against KC, and then they finish out on the road against Cincinnati, Buffalo, Miami at home. They've got like a stretch. They've got a window of like probably 4 or 5 games that are actually probably a challenge.
Right.
And a bye week in there for those games. The rest of it's cake. Buffalo's maybe can put up a fight week 16?
Yeah.
Is Cincinnati doing anything in week 15 when they're not playing for anything?
No.
Is Miami closing out the season with anything? Or maybe this is just because the division's weak, and we always talk about this. Maybe that's what's kind of supplying them here. I think it's still a tough road to 16-0, but I don't think they're going to get there. Not with that stretch. I think the way they've played, it'll be the Ravens, it'll be the Cowboys, it'll be the Eagles, it'll be one of these teams that step up, and then they've got the Chiefs after that will beat them because they're not starting fast.
I hope so. I hope what you just said was true. Devin, good to see you, says he loves to see how much Sports Around the Bar has grown. Devin, we'll hang out when you can hang out, man. Sharif, always good to see you, man. He's saying the game of the week 6 is Houston at Kansas City. I always agree when there's Kansas City involved. Austin says...
I think Redskins versus Dolphins has the most impact.
Austin says, credit where it's due. The Pats have played bad teams. They might still
He said, but the Pats have played bad teams.
I'm sorry, but the Pats have played bad teams. They might still be good teams, but it won't be with a point differential like that. I completely agree, and that's kind of where I want to pump the brakes on this defense. And Scott down here also says this is the best defense the Pats have had. I'm
going to say pump the brakes. Again,
I don't know about
we're talking
that
about
either.
Washington that played like 13 quarterbacks against them. You're talking about the Dolphins who can't find anything going on. I mean, really, realistically, the best offense they've played has been the Giants, and they were missing Saquon Barkley, Wayne Gallman, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram. They were missing everybody. So you got Daniel Jones and Golden Tate. That's been the only test that they played. They're still a good defense, okay? Again, take this all with a grain of salt. But when you're beating up on bad defenses, it's easy to make your stats look good.
I agree with you. Steven says, how can you say anything bad about a team and then turn around and say they go 16?
Because of the schedule. Exactly what I've said. Because of the strength of schedule, Steven. Did you hear that? What I just read off? They have like a 4-week span where they're playing tough teams. And I don't know that the Eagles are tough. I don't know that the Cowboys are tough because just like the Patriots, when the Cowboys have played real competition, they haven't stepped up to the plate. But they've killed some bad teams, haven't they?
Scott says the same thing. Dallas hasn't beaten any either. Put them up as you might win. Okay, hold on. I could talk, I promise.
Scott says Dallas hasn't beaten anyone either. To put them up as a might win versus the Patriots is laughable.
I haven't drank enough. That's a problem.
There's a chance. There's a chance Dallas can win, right? I know everyone's ready to dismiss them and say, oh, they played bad against the Packers, and what was the week before that? They played a tough team and they lost. They've had 2 weeks where they played tough teams back-to-back, and Dallas does not look very good, but they could beat the Patriots. The Patriots are going into halftime almost tied with the Redskins and almost tied with the Dolphins. They could beat the Patriots by just running the rock with Zeke Elliott. Do I think they win? No. If you're asking me right now to pick one, I'm going to pick the Patriots. But am I ready to say, oh, don't worry, the Patriots got it? No, absolutely not. I mean, I'm not going to say that about anybody when it comes to any kind of talent at all for the Patriots. I got to see it first. I have got to see it first because this team, for all everyone wants to talk about the defense, have just clubbed baby seals. That's all they've done to this point. They're clubbing baby seals. These teams are not ready to win in the NFL. Minus Buffalo, maybe. But even Buffalo is not incredibly impressive.
It was only a 7-point win.
They've beaten bad teams. I know, and it took a special teams touchdown to get it.
Less than that, I don't remember.
It was like 15 to 9 or something like that. I forget what it was. You're right. It was close to about 7 points. And it took a special teams touchdown. Yeah. Your offense didn't get into the end zone against a team like Buffalo, which, to their credit, great defense.
Right.
That's like the closest they've had to a real test. And they knocked out Josh Allen, even though he wasn't doing the Bills a whole lot of favors. And Buffalo almost came back. They didn't, but they almost did. I mean, Matt Barkley was moving the ball at the end of the game when he came in. I'm not ready to say the Patriots are far and away anyone. I'm not going to say, oh, look out, you've got the Patriots and everyone else.
Sharif, he says the line for the Redskins and Dolphins game is -3 for the Redskins.
Don't bet it is my thoughts on this one. He was asking what our thoughts are. Don't bet it because who the hell knows what's going on. Jay Gruden is gone. We don't know what the Redskins' offense is going to look like. They might be able to run. They might throw a little bit. Remember, Case Keenum's going to start here. Case Keenum might be able to move the ball, put up points against the Dolphins' defense. But I don't know. It's a whole new coaching regime coming in. And then again, are you going to bet on the Dolphins here? I don't care if it's at home or not. I'm not betting on the Dolphins.
We'll have to wait until we get there.
Especially for a 3-point spread. I said maybe on 17 when they played like the Cowboys. I'm not going to take them on a 3-point spread for any team in the NFL.
Steven, I'm not trying to ignore your comment. I'm just trying to move on. When you play the easiest division in the NFL, the last time anyone won in that division, I think it was 2008, and it was the Jets with Chad Pennington. The year before, the last time before that, I think was 2002, and it was the Dolphins. Or is that flipped? I think it's the Dolphins, and then it was the Jets. I'm sorry. But, I mean, Yeah, it is the schedule, man. When you have 6 easy games and you find yourself in the playoffs, it is an
With
easy
home
schedule.
field advantage.
I'm sorry.
You get to be in front of your crowd.
You can not like it, disagree, whatever, but it's just the way it is, man. That being said, I'm not taking anything away from their playoff victories or their Super Bowl victories because they won those games. But could you imagine what the Patriots would do if they had the Ravens and the Steelers and the Browns maybe?
Year in and year out.
Year in and year out.
Imagine like Ian was saying, imagine they're in the NFC North and they're playing tough physical defenses week in and week out for an entire season. I think, again, yes, playing in the AFC East, as hapless as that division is, the Bills have been good at times. The Jets have been good at times. The Dolphins have been up and down at times. I don't even want to say good. But there's never been a team in that division that you're ever taking over the Patriots, or you would take over the Steelers, or you would take over the Ravens. These teams have been perennially terribly run franchises. To say that doesn't help them is simply not true. I get your point. They're a great team, but it's kind of like the college football kind of mentality of Clemson's a great team, but just because they're killing everybody in the ACC, and they're not this year, but I'm talking about this year, just because they're killing everyone in a weak conference does not mean, no other great team will have a chance against them. And that's my point here. I think everyone's ready to crown the Patriots because they're blowing out bad teams. Again, let's see what happens with this team. And everyone's saying, what about last year? Last year doesn't matter. This is a new roster. There are a lot of changes, even in New England. Losing guys like Trey Flowers, bringing in guys like Michael Bennett. I'm not ready to say this team is better than what we've seen, even though they're off to a fast start against very weak competition.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Sharif wants to know, from me, the Texans and Chiefs over-under is 55. What do I think about it? Oh, man. I would say over, but to be honest with you, I'm nervous about this
Every
game.
time you feel really good about
nervous.
an over, it usually winds up being an under. And maybe it's like teams just expect we're going to come out and score. But then again, how do you not take the over with Houston's secondary looking the way it is and the Chiefs passing offense the same way? Both of these secondaries, absolute garbage or pretty close to it.
Yeah.
They've got a couple good players. Like I like Tyrann Mathieu. I like Justin Reed when he's healthy for Houston. Pretty much everyone else, you can take it or leave it. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I'd probably say over, but every time I go for an over, it seems like I miss.
Yeah.
So
I hear you. Eric, what's going on, man? He says, Pack gonna go.
Well, we're not going to talk about them because they're Monday Night Football this week. But they play the Lions. It'll be an interesting matchup. I don't know that I'm ready to pick the Lions to win the division just yet. And Zach agrees. I'm not sure what Zach agrees with, but I hope you're agreeing with me. Also, Steven says, it's the schedule, but I will probably pick New England to beat KC. Okay. He says he hates the Pats, but honestly hope they beat down Kansas City just to stop this crazy talk. Look, if they beat Kansas City, then we're talking about a different story. But right now, they've beaten, I'm going to say it again, Washington, the Jets with a backup quarterback, the Dolphins, both of those teams are 0-5, the Buffalo Bills by a special teams touchdown, and Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, could do nothing in that game. And the Giants.
Yeah. Redskins.
Crown 'em.
Giants. Bills.
Jets.
Dolphins.
Crown them.
Man.
That's a Super Bowl run right there,
Yeah,
right? That could be a playoff competition. No,
neither of those teams are going to find themselves in the playoffs. Maybe the Bills. Maybe.
The Bills will make it because the AFC's trash, but we'll talk about that later on. Why don't we go into some other games? We don't have to dwell on it. The only other thing I'll say is Tom Brady, the two rushing touchdowns, especially at the end of the game to seal it, was kind of weird. I was like, can we just relax? But that's the Patriots style. They never seem to give up. I think it's almost a good thing that these teams, like the Giants, are not super vindictive, because if you get a quarterback sneak or multiple quarterback sneaks there and you're a D tackle and this guy's beating you, especially if it was like the Bills, how are you not just going to try to do whatever you can at the bottom of the pile to hurt Tom Brady? Stomp on his hand or something like that. Give me a Nakamada Sue play where he's like backing up onto Aaron Rodgers like, oh, nothing to see here. I think it's fortunate that Tom Brady doesn't get hurt. I'm still confused as to why they're diving the ball at the end of the game. Yeah. Like at that point, it put them up 35-14. That score's great, but isn't that why you have like 38 running backs? Isn't that like a Brandon Bolden kind of run right there?
That's a typical Tom Brady thing.
I know.
I think he's calling it himself, to be honest with you. I really think he is.
All right. Eric, good to see you, man. Don't worry about the lateness. I think we were late today, too. Eric also says Pat's defense has been solid for his fantasy team. I absolutely agree. They're like 8th in most fantasy leagues. I think if you play standard, they're like the 8th highest scorer out of any position. You've only got a few quarterbacks out in front of them, and then guys like Christian McCaffrey and I think maybe Alvin Kamara. So they've been playing really, really well. But again, eventually the good times come to an end, and you're going to have to play some teams that can actually put up a little bit of a fight. And we'll see what happens after that happens. For right now, if you got the Patriots defense, it's been a hell of a run.
Yeah, definitely has. Well, let's go into first game Sunday morning, 9:30 in London. Of course, they'll be playing later there. You got the Panthers, who are the away team, going against the home team, the Buccaneer Bucks. Now, we differed on this game. During the offseason, we went the Panthers to win this game, but a lot of things have changed.
Let me go real quick. Scott says, is it possible that the Patriots have got us overlooking great football because they do it so much? Sometimes, sure, but in this kind of scenario where they're 21-14 against a team that's given up 3 out of the other 5 weeks over 400 yards of offense, and they put up yards, they just didn't really put up a lot of points until the end of the game. I don't think so. I don't think that's it. I think, yeah, we do take the Patriots and how great this dynasty has been for granted, but I also am not ready to say just because they have that pedigree of they've been amazing in the past with a 42-year-old quarterback that at times has struggled this year, I don't know that I'm ready to say that it's just the Patriots are amazing and we're just kind of overlooking that. What about that game until about 8 minutes left where you're like, man, look out for the Patriots? The defense, right? Yeah. The defense looked really good against an injured Giants offense that had almost none of its playmakers. Did Tom Brady really impress you until he put like the 2 rushing touchdowns on the board?
It still doesn't really impress me.
Well, again, the 334 yards is pretty. It's a great gaudy stat, but this is the Giants team that hasn't stopped anybody yet. Realistically, well, I take it back. Last week they had a good week on defense. I don't think so, Scott. I'll agree. In the past, we kind of do overlook it, but this year, I think we're kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt because they have been so amazing, and that we're not questioning like, hey, should I be concerned that the Dolphins hung with these guys? Or should I be concerned that the Redskins hung with these guys? Or the Giants hung with these guys? Or the Bills hung with these guys?
Matthew, good to see you. He said, thoughts on Vikings and Phillies game? Sharice sat there and said the Vikings are a 3-point favorite in this game. I don't want to give it away.
I think this is a great matchup. If not for Houston versus Kansas City, this is game of the week for me. It's going to be very telling for the NFC playoff picture. Both of these teams are going in at 3-2. The question is going to be Kirk Cousins and his kind of propensity that when he's under pressure to fall apart versus one of the best pass rushing defenses. That's the biggest. That's kind of the biggest point for this game. Who wins that battle? Can Kirk Cousins keep it together and take advantage of a weak secondary, or is this pass rush for Philadelphia just going to throw him off the mound and just absolutely rattle him?
Yeah, Frank, good to see you, man. Glad you could join us. Well, let's get into this game in London. To me, it's 2 strengths going against each other. The Panthers, who love to run the ball. We all know what Christian McCaffrey is like. This guy is literally the offense of this team. Literally almost he is the whole team. And then you got the Bucks, who are ranked second in the run defense this year so far, only behind the team we were just talking about, the Eagles. I think this is going to be a tough matchup. I've already seen a couple Bucks going to win this game throughout the comments so far. I'm gonna change it. We went the Panthers during the offseason. I am actually believing in this Bucks team, and that is crazy to say because you all know I am not a Jameis Winston fan.
You love Jameis Winston. He's your favorite quarterback.
Oh yeah, and he's playing well, and this defense is playing far and beyond what we thought it was in its talent level. And when you face Christian McCaffrey in this offense with a banged up Christian McCaffrey's back.
He does have a back injury, yes.
So I gotta get to the Bucks. Now you're sticking with the Panthers. Why is that?
I am going to stick with the Panthers, and it's purely on the defense. Yes, I love Christian McCaffrey. He's been the guy that's got them to the finish line to this point. I think when you look at this Panthers defense, and look what they did to Houston a couple weeks ago, where they kept them in check. And Deshaun Watson, to me, far and away better quarterback than Jameis Winston. Yes, I know the Buccaneers have had a little bit of success playing against the Rams, who I think, again, a little overrated on what they've done in the past for what we've seen this year. I think the Buccaneers are going to struggle this far from home, going all the way out to London. I like to bet on the defense and the running teams. That is the Carolina Panthers. I think Christian McCaffrey will be okay, even though he's listed on the injury report. And we talked about it before the show. The Buccaneers have been very good in run defense. Do you think that continues? Or has it kind of been just the games that they've played? Has it been a bit of a coincidence? I think the Rams not playing Todd Gurley the way they used to has helped that stat out. I think them playing the 49ers early with Tevin Coleman getting hurt has helped that stat out. I think if they played the 49ers right now, they'd run all over them. I think the Buccaneers are not that good of a run defense still, even though the stats kind of disagree with me. I think when you look at the roster, it's only a matter of time that they're going to play some of these better rushing teams like Carolina, and that's going to change. That being said, even if they take McCaffrey away on the ground, he catches the ball too. And I don't think anyone stops Christian McCaffrey at this point, right? If he has any kind of health, I'm betting on the Panthers and McCaffrey getting another win in a tough game a long way from home.
I'm ready to see it. I think it's two strengths going against each other. I know Will wants us to apologize, and he says he's proud of me, but it's time for them to show up. It's time for the Buccaneers to show up. This team is
time to prove you're real.
Will, this is on you too, man. I mean, this team is ready to win. This is the time to prove it because you are literally facing a team that does exactly what you guys are proud of stopping, and that's the run. So it's time to stop them. And if they stop them and win this game, do you look anything different as the Bucs organization? Is this a better team than what we originally thought?
Well, you got a chance. Well, you got a chance. You're going to need the Saints to lose this week against the Jaguars to really have a chance to win the division, but I think they have a chance to make the playoffs if they win this game. I'm not going to say they're legit, but I'll say they're in a much better spot than we expected them to be when you look at this defense. I mean, was anyone saying Shaq Barrett was going to have 9 sacks 5 weeks into the year?
No.
I don't think so. I think this defense is still not great. I think when you look at it on paper, they probably don't last the test of time for the whole season, but they've been better than expectations. There's been a couple teams like that, like the Giants. They have been better than I kind of expected, and all it took was a little bit of a change at quarterback for the Giants. I think Bruce Arians has this team back on track for the Buccaneers. Roster-wise, they're still not there yet. I think they lose this one. If they win it, though, we need to start talking about the Buccaneers being not necessarily a legit team, but a team that can upset some teams and is in the conversation to make the playoffs.
Absolutely, and it's not like the Carolina Panthers are out there going to the Super Bowl this year or anything like that. They're not beating a top opponent, but this is a team that they can, if they beat, you have to start taking the Bucs seriously, no doubt.
Jesse says the Bucs are fool's gold. I don't know that it's fool's gold. If you think they're a playoff team, maybe. But I'm with you on that. I don't think they win this game. Frank says since he lives in St. Petersburg, go Panthers. All right. And everyone is going with Winston, going bananas in this game. I mean, Eric says Bucks. Sharif says Winston's going to go bananas.
Jeremy, good to see you, man.
Austin's going the other direction, saying Christian McCaffrey is a beast, and they're playing with a healthy quarterback. The Panthers win. I think it's just on Kyle Allen not to make a lot of mistakes. I mean, if you look at the way they played Houston, he fumbled 3 times, and that defense, going up against a much better offense than I think Tampa Bay even has, managed to win the day. I think this is on the defense. Like a lot of weeks, it's going to be on the defense. The Panthers still have that that can get the job done.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Sorry if we're missing your comments. I'm going to go through a few of these here as quick as I can, and then we'll move on to our next game. And Scott says, depends on Jameis and stopping McCaffrey. Jameis needs to not turn the ball over, but I think this is on Tampa Bay's defense. Absolutely. Stopping McCaffrey, and can you frustrate Kyle Allen and get him to make some mistakes? Because if he plays that I'm going to throw 200 yards and 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions, I don't think the Bucs win this game. Eric says DBJ. What are we talking about?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what you meant there. Also, Eric says, I'm sorry, Matthew says, never mind.
You're just
300
so
comments
far behind,
before.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next game so you can catch up on some of these comments as you read. The noon games start with the Seahawks going on the road to face the Cleveland Browns. During the offseason, we kind of bought into the hype like everyone else did.
No, we didn't. To be fair, everyone was like, this is a team that's going to win the Super Bowl. We were like, well, maybe they make the playoffs.
Hold on. I wasn't talking
We
about
still said the
that
Ravens
hype.
win the division.
Yes, but I wasn't saying that hype. I was saying the hype of this is now a good team. This
Okay.
team has struggled immensely, and now we sat there more to you than me, said the Seahawks were going to be as good as they were because of the losses on defense. We kind of went wrong both sides here. The Seahawks seem like they're a legitimate team, and the Browns seem like they're struggling immensely on offense.
And defense.
But definitely offense. There's more of an issue there.
Is there? Honestly, they're getting blown out defensively. They gave up 41 points to the Titans. They gave up 41 points to the Titans, Drew. That means there's something wrong with the defense, okay? This is a team that scores 16 points a year. Honestly, Drew, I look at this team.
You guys
it's
do that.
Everything.
You guys usually do that one game a year.
No, well, yeah, when we play New England and all the guys that we
or
just
the
bought
Eagles
from them.
game or whatever it was that last year was.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But still, they got blown out by the Titans. They got blown out last week by the 49ers, who just ran the ball all over them. This is a team that has no defense. They were ranked 24th last year. They're probably going to be worse than that because they fired Greg Williams. Even though they have talented players, they don't have a talented roster per se. They need a deeper roster full of good players versus just having a couple talented guys like Myles Garrett and a bunch of other guys that you haven't heard of. I mean, yes, they've got Denzel Ward. Great corner. Looks like Greedy Williams might be good too. But you can't tell me that a couple guys make a defense. A defense is a unit more than anything, and they don't have a great unit. They have a couple players that can make an impact. They need to have a great unit and a great leader for this defense. They kicked their great leader to the curb and sent him over to the Jets. I think with that missing and with a offense that's run by Freddie Kitchens, who is an inexperienced head coach, has been the biggest problem for Cleveland so far. They need to find a way to get this defense back on track if they're going to win. Because the Seahawks are going to pound the rock on these guys. They don't have anybody that's going to stop it. Sheldon Richardson should be playing better than he is. Myles Garrett needs to help out in the run in this game. Without those guys having like a career game here, they're not winning against a team that's super conservative and may have the best playing quarterback through 5 or 6 weeks of the NFL season.
I think there's more questions on the offense than there is defense.
Go ahead, though.
I get it. I understand exactly what you're saying. I think you nailed it right on the spot. There is no leader in that defensive side of the ball. But supposedly they have their leader on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, it should be Myles Garrett in the defense.
But he's not.
Well,
he seems
what
more,
do we say about the offense?
It
should be Baker Mayfield.
He seems more like an individual.
But defense is a total unit game, right? You can be the best
absolutely.
corner in the league, and you can't get the job done. You can have Julio Jones, and you can have a good offense because Julio Jones goes bananas every week. Look at Houston. Houston isn't a great offensive roster. You look at their offensive line in years past. You look at everything else, but they have DeAndre Hopkins, and he's enough to get it done a lot of the times. Offense, you can have a particular player go off and do well. Defense, it's got to be everybody.
Eddie, good to see you, man. He said one thing he can guarantee is Mike Evans won't go catchless again. Mark says Raiders. I know that makes Steven happy, no doubt about it.
I think the Mike Evans thing, can I really quick interject on that? I think Mike Evans is all about game planning. I think Bruce Arians has decided that we'll just take the Chris Godwin passes that are open instead of everyone focusing on Mike Evans. I think eventually that goes away. I know, I almost slipped up. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just waiting for you to get done. Eric says also the offensive line is not protecting Baker at all.
Just wait for me to shut up.
Constantly under pressure, kind of.
Yeah. Trading Zeitler might have been a mistake.
Ian says, can you imagine OBJ on the Jacksonville Jaguars teaming up with the Stash?
Yeah, I can imagine how much of an attitude problem it would be.
And he also says Ramsey would.
Can you imagine Ramsey and Odell Beckham in the same locker room without strong leadership at coach? That's not something I want to imagine for my team.
Austin says Russell Wilson is at an MVP level. Lockett, DK, and Wisley look good catching and scoring. Run game is good, minus a few fumbles earlier in the year. Defense is solid. Hawks win. Man, I am right there with you. I know Jake's with you as well.
I don't disagree with anything you said.
Yeah, you were 100% right on there, man.
The only thing
we went the Browns during the offseason because we believed
we fell for the hype.
That we believe this offense would be an elite offense at some point in time this year. We thought by week 6 this team would be going on all cylinders. I know that's probably exactly what I said, and we thought the Seahawks defense wouldn't be good, and we were so wrong, and we're willing to take the knocks on that one. But now, as everything kind of straightened up, we can see clearly after taking those knocks, we take the Seahawks to win this game. Cleveland, I think, is a long shot to win this. I know that we said that about other games in the past, and it's changed, but this Seahawks team looks really good, and I'm right there with Austin. I think he nailed every bit of that.
And Mark's all in on the Raiders. Well, we appreciate you tuning in for their bye week. This time I'm right, Steven. I think I was just a week early. I was clairvoyant, I was telling the future last week when I was saying the Raiders were on bye.
Yeah.
They're on bye this week.
Steven says, where's my shirt, guys? I'm waiting for my winnings from the beautiful Raiders win week 1.
Shoot me a message after the show, because you should have it by now. They said it should have been here by October 1st, so I will have to probably get in touch with consumer support.
I put my address in, and I burned it.
Well, it wasn't a Raiders shirt. It was one of ours.
Yeah,
you burned one of ours?
When it's a Raiders win shirt, it burned.
Okay, all right. Also, final thoughts on the Seahawks game. I think, again, the Seahawks are doing everything right now, and the Browns seem to be doing everything wrong. So how do you bet on them? This is usually the game that in the NFL, any given Sunday, they come away with the win. But right now, I can't bet on the Browns. I can't bet on all the distractions, everything else. It seems like somebody has something to say every week. It's something else in the media. Even something like Baker Mayfield responding to Richard Sherman, who's an idiot, by the way. It's still noise. It's all this noise that they can't seem to keep under control. You know what you never hear from the Seahawks and Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll? A whole lot of noise. Pretty much since Richard Sherman left, I should say. And again, I'm not super trying to kill Richard Sherman here, saying, oh, he's too loud. But I think when you look at the Seahawks, this is like the most conservative, we're just here to do a job team you have, and that can win football games. I think the Browns are like the exact opposite of that. It'll be fun to watch this one to see two clashing styles go up against each other.
I do want to get these 4 comments real quickly. Austin says the Browns have no chemistry on offense, and they're stacked with talent. Kitchens looks like a mistake at this point. Steven says the Browns are the Browns, and they will have to learn how to win games and shut up. They worry about being in the media too much.
Yes, and that's why you need Greg Williams instead of Freddie Kitchens as your head coach, because he would have said, shut up, we're losing games.
Will you shut up and wait?
No.
Eric says Cleveland should have kept Greg Williams and not hired Freddie Kitchens. And Ian says the Browns are a paper team, not a field team. He said it 1,000 times. Oh, now you can come.
I just got a contract offer from the Cleveland Browns because I won't shut up either. I think when you look at the way that the Browns have played, I'm 100% with you. They need to shut up and play football. And again, everyone gets all offended whenever you tell an athlete, shut up and play and focus on your trade. But you got to win first, right? You got to win first. That's your job. This is your job. It's not your job to be in Hulu commercials. It's not your job to go off and talk about Greg Williams saying, oh, I'm a bad player and everything else. I have no problem with doing that stuff. But it's also your job to shut up and win football games. When you're not doing it, maybe don't go out every week and try to call somebody out and try to be in the media and try to get somebody talking about you.
I'll give you that. The media stuff should stop. The social media stuff
I don't have a problem with him being in the commercials.
But the commercials,
I'm saying,
I can't. Dude.
I think it takes away. I do. I'm not saying don't do it because it's money, and I would never tell someone don't make money. But I think when you're in 38 commercials, you probably could be spending a lot of that time in the gym, or you could be probably using that time to throw the football around.
How can you blame a man? I mean, his
I would do it too, but you know what else I would do?
Think about
Johnny
Manziel. Think about how quickly his light flickered out.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's still getting work, by the way, in advertisement, which blows my mind. But
was it Direct Auto or something like that?
It's something terrible. But either way, I mean, this is what you do. I mean, as far as a whole lifespan goes, the NFL career is such a flicker of light in your whole lifespan. You make as much money as you possibly can. So as far as commercials go, make them. Baker Mayfield, and
I'm okay with being in commercials, but you got to keep the right mindset. You can't be like, I'm a star now. I'm a media darling, and I get
worse because he's doing
it. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. You always have to come back and win games, and when you're not winning games, all of a sudden, the questions get on you. I'm with you. It needs to start with the media stuff. You need to stop giving everyone bulletin board kind of stuff where they can tack it up there and say Baker Mayfield said this about us, or he said this or that or anything else. What you need to do is focus on the game, and right now, I don't really feel like he's incredibly focused. I think I'm not saying don't do the commercials. You still got to remember I'm a football player first, and I got to get the job done.
All right, man, we got to move on.
We do need to move on. Let's talk about the Houston Texans.
The Houston Texans go on the road to the Kansas City Chiefs. Shree says this is the game of the week. I would say if everyone's healthy, I'd give this the game of the week. I don't know if I can. To be honest, to me, this is a very nerve-wracking game. It makes me very nervous, especially after our outing against the Indianapolis Colts. It didn't look very favorable when we lost a lot of weapons. And I know you see the big names. You see Sammy Watkins not being there. You see Chris Jones. You see Eric Fisher not being another game in. We kind of have maybe light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe Tyreek Hill can play in this game. He's going to be a game-time decision. I think he is the difference maker in this game for the Kansas City Chiefs. If he can play, I believe the Chiefs can win this game. So I'm going to assume he's playing, and I'm going to give it to the Chiefs. And I'm going to tell you right now, if he does not play, I almost go the opposite direction and say that the Texans are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs if Tyreek is not on this field.
This is a narrative kind of game where we've seen Deshaun Watson be very, very good for a long time, but he's also come up short in a lot of big moments. This is a big moment. Like, they haven't beat the Patriots. Last year in the playoffs against the Colts, he looked like he wasn't ready for that kind of that stage or to be ready for that. This is another narrative kind of moment for Deshaun Watson. If he comes up short here, I think people are going to be talking about he can't get the job done in big moments. I don't believe that about Deshaun Watson. He seems like he's the best quarterback in the AFC South, far and away.
Real quickly, Steven, I don't know how long Sammy Watkins out. It's a hamstring, and So it just kind of, you know how those things go, man. It just depends on how long you kind of get fully healed. And
could be next week, could be 6 weeks from now because the hammies are messed up.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest ones to diagnose for sure.
Go ahead, man. I didn't want to stop you.
No, my final thoughts on this game, I think, Drew, are the Chiefs are definitely the favorite. They need to be. I think Tyreek Hill being there helps this team out a ton. I'll still take him with him out because I think this Houston defense is not going to be able to keep up with this Andy Reid offense that seems to be able to get everyone involved. As long as Travis Kelce's there, I think they're going to have some success. I need to see more of the Deshaun Watson I saw against Atlanta. That's what I need to see, and I need to see it in a big moment. I get it, the Chiefs' defense isn't great, but they take the ball away. We need Deshaun Watson to step up and really assert himself as, like, I am deserving to be in the conversation with guys like Carson Wentz and Jared Goff as, like, the next stars of the NFL. And Russell Wilson and guys of that caliber. Because we talk about him like that, but he's come short in a lot of big moments.
Ian says Kansas City 34-17. Steven says Texans 34-30. And then he says change that, Texans 49-0. I love the jokes in there, man. Eddie says the Chiefs will bounce back. It will be a close, but my boys will put it out 34-27.
But is it like they score 34 points and then they give up 27? Because that's like the most Kansas City thing to do.
It is. I hope that's the case, to be honest. I hope we put up tons of points and then we have to sit there and just kind of slowly watch them crawl back into it. I'm agreeing with you, Eddie. I think this is going to be a very close game, and I'm telling you right now, if Tyreek does not play with Sammy out, we saw what happened last week. Robinson, as good as he looked a few weeks back, he just doesn't have that speed that Sammy and Hill has. I like Hardman, but he's a rookie. He's going to be off and on. Maybe he has a really big game, and you see the Chiefs win this game on Hardman's back. Damon Williams, LaShawn McCoy, Darren Williams, whoever it is who's running the rock, they just don't run it enough to make that much of a difference. That's the issue with Kansas City and calling this offense is we rely so much on Patrick Mahomes' mobility out of the pocket to throw it. We also have to rely on that ankle being healthy. I like Kelce, but Kelce's a lot slower than he used to be.
Is he, or is Alex Smith just not throwing to him left, right, and center every play?
No, man.
I think that might be a big part of it, to be
misses
honest.
His speedy receivers.
Sure.
He needs Hill out there, plain and simple.
Some guys throw to receivers, some guys throw to tight ends.
He throws to everybody.
I think, again, a lot of this just comes down to Patrick Mahomes being more of a guy who utilizes receivers over utilizing a tight end. He loves the speed.
He throws to everybody. I don't know how you can say
I agree. But who usually dominates on this Chiefs team, and who usually kind of fills in behind? It's usually Tyreek Hill and a lot of receivers, and then Kelce will have like 80 yards some games. But does Tyreek Hill not get used a lot of games?
Well, that's why this
Pretty
is
rarely.
important for him to be here.
Yeah, and I agree. I think, again, Alex Smith was the guy who focused on tight ends and receivers came second. I think Patrick Mahomes focuses on receivers and tight ends come second. I think, again, when you have that kind of talent, you just use it. I don't know that I'm buying the Kelce slowing down argument just yet.
No. I don't want to say he's slowing down talent or he's like not catching the ball. He just doesn't.
Hi,
have
Michael.
That,
how you doing?
He just doesn't have that speed that he used to have. Kelce used to be one of the quicker or tight ends. I would not put him up there as that anymore. He's still elite because he still has great hands and he still is one of those game-breaking type of tight ends, but he is not where he used to be.
Not buying it. All right, we'll move on. We agree to disagree.
I'm glad that you're on the other side of this fence than I am.
I think he's great. I think he's great. I think
he looks great. He's got like 7 to 8 receptions for anywhere from 70 to 80 yards and maybe a touchdown. But he isn't.
And if it was Alex Smith, it would be still 14 receptions for 168. Oh, and Tyreek Hill got 3 for 120.
Love the man. He's gonna be in the Chiefs Hall of Fame ring. He's amazing. I give him all the credit in the world. I just think he's slower than he used to be.
Also, Austin says this or the Rams-Niners game will be the highest scoring game of the week. I don't think Rams-Niners gets as high as you think, but we'll talk about that in a second. Either team could win. Have defensive coordinators figured out how to slow down Kansas City with how the Lions and Colts played? I'm going to bet no. I think a lot of it's just they're missing the engine, and I've said this pretty much since before the season. I think Tyreek Hill is the guy that drives this Kansas City team. They're so good without him, but I think he's the guy. He's the game breaker. He's the guy with so much speed that it just... What do? It makes defensive coordinators pull out their hair because he's so fast that you got to back everybody up, and then there's all the room underneath.
Yeah.
I think with Tyreek Hill coming back, it definitely changes the game for the Chiefs.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Got the Washington Redskins going against the Miami Dolphins. This is a game
you gotta
we've already
pick one.
kind of talked about a little bit. I can't do it. I don't think the Dolphins get a win. If it's Case Keenum playing this game, he's trying to keep on playing. Bill Callahan, the interim head coach, it wants to keep the spot like every coach does. He's playing to win. He's not putting Haskins out there to see who they have, the quarterback of the future. This is for Bill Callahan to try to become the next head coach for the Washington Redskins. And on top of that, and I don't mean to steal your thunder, there is one side of the ball out of these two teams, out of the four sides, there's one side that I would still consider complete, and that's the Washington Redskins defense.
They're good. I don't know that I call them complete. I think they're missing Zach Brown in their run defense. Linebacker now playing for Philadelphia and helping them out a lot. But they're still, again, far and away. If you have to pick a side to take, you take the Redskins defense before anyone's offense
They're
here.
They're good. They get
and
tired,
the Miami
man.
defense.
They get tired.
Yeah, they're there. I don't know that I call them great anymore. They're okay. They're not bad. They've got some guys. They also have a running game. I think they're going to make they're going to make some inroads with that, whether it's 99-year-old Adrian Peterson, whether it's Chris Thompson maybe having a decent day here. I don't know who it's going to be for the Redskins, but I think Miami is just hapless right now. I can't pick them to beat anyone. I think they'll look okay. I think the game stays close, and this might be an important game for Brian Flores keeping his job, because if this turns into a blowout and we get to next season and you've been blown out 16 times and you're 0-16 or 1-15 because you stole one, does Miami think about moving on from their, the 7th hired of 8 head coaches last season? We saw Arizona move on after 1 year. I don't think it's a great practice, but Miami might decide that it is. We could see Brian Flores looking for a job if he doesn't have at least a competitive game here.
Let me get to these comments before
go ahead.
Before you say something again. Ian says this is the game of the week, like a college game, playing for pride. Fins 20.
Well, we're all going to figure out who gets Tua or Justin Herbert after this game.
Fins 2017 is going with the Dolphins getting their first win. Steven says Redskins blow this one away. They got some excitement with the new coach, and the Dolphins are terrible. 31-7 Redskins. But then he
just said Dolphins are terrible. 31-7 Redskins.
Sorry. Anyways, he goes, "Oh God, it's Bill Callahan. Never mind. He didn't know it was him. Hands down, his most hated coach in the history of sports."
Well, we think he's great. We think, you should totally fire Jay Gruden because now you're so much better of a team because Bill Callahan's your coach. No. Again, why did you fire Jay Gruden before the Miami game? Because we need to win one and we need to, mess up our pick?
Austin says he thinks the Skins have more talent on his roster, so he's going with them. Eddie says
he thinks the Redskins and Dolphins will tie at 0. He didn't say at 0. I added that part, but it might be at 0. Because both of these teams might be looking ahead saying, I could probably go for another quarterback. I know the Redskins just drafted Dwayne Haskins, and the Dolphins just gave up a second-round pick for Josh Rosen. But if you get that first overall pick, Drew, how do you not take a quarterback out of this draft that's supposed to be deeper than we've seen at quarterback? That's going to be tough. That's going to be incredibly tough for either one of these teams to not say, maybe I just give up on Dwayne Haskins or Josh Rosen and go take my guy.
Eddie, I do have a question for you. I see your comment. He says, "Hell of a defensive effort by the Colts. Can't take anything away from them. We were missing our top 2 receivers and our best offensive linemen."
But Eddie's still right.
Eddie, I just want to know who do you consider the best offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs? Just wondering, man. No right or wrong answer. I just want to know what your opinion is.
All right.
Let's go to the next game.
Let's do it. Let's talk about Philadelphia and the Vikings. Like I said, this could be game of the week for me. I think this one is incredibly important, and we're kind of overlooking it. Both these teams are 3-2. Both these teams in the past few years have had a pedigree of they're very good. I know the Vikings have had down times. I know the Eagles have won the Super Bowl and then come up short as well. I think when you look at these two squads, this is an absolutely important game that's going to define the NFC for the season going forward, because one of these guys are going to 3-3 and are going to be behind people in their division. The other one's going 4-2 and are going to be closing in on the leaders. I think both these teams desperately need a win, and these are two squads that could both pull this off.
Yeah, no doubt about it. During the offseason, we picked the Minnesota Vikings to win this game, mostly because it was at home in Minnesota. I get it. Philadelphia has the best run defense in this league. They've had it for a very long time. What was the stat that you told me?
Since 2016, they've had the best rush defense in the league, allowing about, on average, 63 yards per game.
Which is one of the hardest things to do in this league, hands down, is to keep that going on. You definitely have a very good defensive line led by Fletcher Cox, who I consider probably the second best defensive player in this league. But there's something that the Vikings have that the Eagles wish that they had, and that's elite receivers at both sides of the ball. I still believe in Stephon Diggs. I still believe in Adam Thielen. I still believe these guys, regardless if it's Case Keenum or now Kirk Cousins throwing the ball, that these guys can light a game up and change everything that's going on. And one thing the Eagles wish that they had, also,
secondary.
The secondary to stop these guys. I am going to stick with my Vikings pick. I think the Vikings win this game.
I'm seeing a lot of Philly. A lot of people are agreeing with me with that the Eagles are going to win this game. Michael's saying Philly's going to win. Steven's saying he thinks that the Eagles pull this one out in a close one. And Scott's saying Philly as well. Ian says what Vikings team shows up. Wentz might get a TD or two. Philly 24-20. I think we're overlooking the biggest matchup here. Can Kirk Cousins stay safe enough in this pocket to get it done? I think Philadelphia's going to have the pass rush to make that answer no. And when you don't, and you can stop the run from Dalvin Cook, this Vikings defense eventually will cave. I think Philadelphia wins this one more comfortably than everyone thinks. I think it's going to be 31-17. I think the Vikings will do okay. I think Adam Thielen will have a good day. I think Stephon Diggs will have a couple catches, and maybe it'll quiet some of this trade him rumors coming up before this deadline. I think when you look at these two teams, despite the weaknesses for Philadelphia in the secondary, as long as you rush the passer, the Vikings have proven they can't get it done. And that's not an indictment on Kirk Cousins. He has always been the guy that says, protect me and I'll make stuff happen. This Vikings offensive line is not in a state to protect him yet. I think that the Eagles win this game on the defensive line, just like Jim Schwartz loves. I mean, this is like one of his wet dreams. The defensive line dominates up front, and the defense is good because of it. I think Philadelphia wins this one 31-17.
I will stick with the Vikings. Even if you and Michael and Steven, Scott and Ian and Austin all go against me, I still believe
the world's against you.
The Vikings can win. I do want to get to Eddie's comment because he answered my question. He says, Eric Fisher, anytime you take away a Pro Bowl starting left tackle, you are going to have problems. I like Schwartz, man. I like the right side a little bit more than the left. I think Eric Fisher favors by Tardif being right there, which I think is our second best offensive lineman. I love debating, man. It's great. Thank you.
Saints versus Jacksonville. I had to look at the can because it doesn't matter. I'm taking the Saints. I think when you look at this game, Teddy Bridgewater, backup quarterback, Gardner Minshew, backup quarterback, these are kind of the same guys to me. And everyone's okay saying, hey, Teddy Bridgewater, maybe he's not a starter, or some people love him, some people don't. Gardner Minshew's kind of the same way, except everybody loves him. I think Teddy Bridgewater's the better quarterback. And that's come from me, a guy that's not a big Teddy Bridgewater fan. I think Gardner Minshew is very close to him. I think these are two guys in the same plane. And it's going to be an interesting game because I don't think the Saints are going to have the offensive muscle to just blow the Jaguars out of the water. I think it stays close. We'll be talking about, Gardner Minshew almost beat the Saints, but I think it's more because Drew Brees isn't playing ready to just put up 35 points against him. It's going to be a fun game, though. I think both these teams have a lot to play for. The Saints need to put some distance in the division against teams like Tampa Bay trying to catch up and the Panthers who are hanging around, and Jacksonville's trying to get back in the fight. It's an important game for both of these teams. I'm just going to go with the Saints. I think it's a more complete roster. I think the defense is good. I think Michael Thomas is going to be the difference here. I also think Alvin Kamara, if he plays, I know he's banged up, is going to be better than anyone that the Jags have on offense. I'll go Teddy and the guys in silver in gold and black.
Yeah, I'm also going to stick with the Saints. I believe that that defense is playing to win games for this team. I know you saw a little bit more offensive scoring last week with Michael Thomas going off. I still think Bridgewater could start in this league. I think he's favoring the fact that this team is built to have a quarterback like Drew Brees and a great offensive mind and Sean Payton calling these plays. But I still think it's the defense that makes a difference here. As much as I am on the train for Minshew as of being the next Jaguars quarterback for the future, I just think the Vikings are playing to win because they're waiting for Drew Brees to come back.
Saints
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Saints.
Absolutely.
To win, waiting for Drew Brees to come back.
Michael's going Saints. Steven says backup versus backup. The Saints are just simply a far better team. Amen to that. Saints 27-14. Ian saying Jacksonville. The Stash will throw for 250 because of being at home in Jacksonville. It's in Jacksonville. I think he throws for 206. I think he's under duress. We see a turnover. We see 2 touchdowns. And everyone will be talking about, did you see him play against the Saints? He put up 204 yards. I just think that's kind of the cap on this offense. And it's not just Gardner Minshew, a guy that I've been critical of, but I don't think he's a bad player. I think when you look at the rest of this offensive roster, as bad as the offensive line is, as streaky as Leonard Fournette is, who I don't think has a good day today, and the receivers being DJ Shark, who looks like he might be eventually good, and everyone else, like Westbrook, that are coulda, woulda, shouldas. I think the Jaguars are not in a state to step up and match up with a team like the Saints that should have no problem beating them, even on the road.
To be honest, I think if any chance for the Jags to win this game is another 200-yard rushing game for Leonard Fournette. I wouldn't put it on Minshew's arm to beat this team. It's not a knock on Minshew.
I think it's got to be Minshew if it wins. I don't think Fournette gets 200 yards.
I don't think so either.
They win if he gets it.
Yeah.
I just don't think he does.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I got the Saints winning this game.
Bengals Ravens. Gross, right? I mean, the Ravens have been giving up yards.
Fast start for the Ravens this year. Now has kind of died off.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say this matchup's gross because I don't know what happens. The Ravens have been giving up yards left and right on defense. The Bengals have been good at putting up yards at times, but have been absolutely atrocious at everything else pretty much all season long. Another team totally defeated. I almost want to see a loss here for the Bengals. Let them get another quarterback, because even though Andy Dalton puts up yardage, and I don't think Andy Dalton's the worst quarterback in the league, he's still not a guy that takes you to the playoffs, and you go match up with Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, and he walks away with a win. I think the Bengals need a new quarterback. They need a lot of new things. But this game has to be Ravens all the way, right?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Ravens as well.
And Michael is too.
During the offseason, we picked the Ravens. Ian says, God, I'd love for Cincy to win this or tie, but unfortunately it's the Ravens. But in the past, any indication it win number one. Oh please, let it be the Bengals. He really wants the Bengals to win this game. He might be a Steelers fan. I'm not for sure.
Well, he's right. I mean, the Bengals do play the Ravens tough, but again, when you're looking at this roster, do you see it happening? I think we're going to see Lamar Jackson come out and throw a lot of yards against a weak defense, and he'll be saying not bad for a running back, kind of like last week when they turned the ball over 5 times, and I was the one saying not bad for a running back. I think Lamar Jackson is a quarterback built to feast on very bad defenses in the NFL.
Jacob is saying Ravens are going to win 35-14.
Jacob knows what he's talking about. Believe everyone named Jacob.
Definitely don't. Not a knock on you, Jacob. Just a knock on this, Jake.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect. He says Ravens 35-14. I think that's reasonable.
I think that's maybe actually probably where it's going to be.
Maybe the defense gets back on track. Maybe Andy Dalton scores a couple late touchdowns to keep things a little more interesting. I might say like 32-26, where the Ravens defense still is a little hapless against an offense that, let's face it, has moved the ball. They just haven't been great at scoring points. Maybe this is the week they do, because the Ravens have been absolutely atrocious on defense at times.
Yeah. My fantasy team hopes Lamar Jackson has a big outing. So the Cincinnati's defense has been struggling. I hope Lamar finds a lot of holes running or throwing. Don't care.
Let's talk about the 49ers and the Rams.
Let's do it.
Again, another interesting matchup from two teams needing desperately to win this game. The 49ers are still undefeated. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to say they stay undefeated in this. The Rams are not the Rams in 2019 that we saw last year. I know everyone wanted their McVay coach, but Sean McVay needs to get this offense firing again. I need to see Sean McVay having the same kind of success in 2018 where nobody could figure this guy out. 2019, Jared Goff looks average, mediocre.
And he got paid.
Middling. And that's sometimes the issue. But I think this is more than that. I think it's Todd Gurley not running the ball, the offensive line just falling apart, losing just Roger Saffold. Who's played badly himself for the Titans.
Their center retired last year. They lost like their left guard or right guard.
Left guard is Roger Saffold. Yeah.
No, there's a guy that they lost to free agency.
Roger Saffold. He's a Titan now. And he's playing badly for us.
Whatever. It's not the same offensive line that it was last year.
Not to mention Whitworth's like 39 now. No, he's 35, I think. But he's up there.
But that being said, on the other side of the ball, the Niners are banged up. They got both their left tackles, or both their starting tackles out.
Sure.
They got their fullback out. I think they have one
and
of their...
Juszczyk is a loss with the way they run the ball.
Their second or third corner out in Witherspoon. I don't know what position he plays. I know he's a corner. That being said, I'm riding this train. I'm going to pick the 49ers until they lose. And normally I'm on the Jimmy Jean bandwagon, but to be honest, I'm on the defensive line. Finally, these first-round picks have seemed to finally find a niche, and they seem
What did I tell you? Eventually, they're going to be good.
Sooner or later, they're going to be good, and I'm right there with you, man. We're picking the Niners. We're going against our off-season pick where we took the Rams. We didn't see this, and definitely with Gurley not playing in this game, he's listed as doubtful. More than likely, he's not playing, and they might as well just list him out. The Niners win this game.
I think so, too. I think this is going to be a ground game. I think the 49ers are still going to have a decent running game, even though they're going to hurt a little bit with Juszczyk out. I don't think the Rams are built to stop that. Aaron Donald's more of a pass rusher than a run defender, even though he's great at both. Single-handedly, he doesn't win. Yeah. Also, apparently we're in the middle of like a typhoon right now, so if we do cut out, you know what happened.
Yeah, well, with that, I'll let you roll into this next game. I'm going to go grab another beer. You need one?
I could go for another one. Yeah, right. Absolutely. I think when you talk about the 49ers, I'll wrap it up here really quick. We picked the Rams in the offseason because everyone was expecting the offense to be kind of like it was. It's been 5 weeks now that we've seen the Rams, and they have not looked like the team from 2018. You can say Super Bowl hangover. You can say whatever you want. This is on Sean McVay kind of getting blasted in the Super Bowl and I think being out of rhythm. I want to see this passing attack that has been good at times even in 2019 get more consistent and continue these good performances. The reverse of that, the 49ers have played great defense. And we've been waiting for that to happen, right? I mean, they signed Richard Sherman. They have all these picks on the offensive line. We've been waiting for this defense to finally get there. Now they're taking the ball away. They're making big stops. The defensive front looks good. The 49ers look like a group that can win games. All right, we'll move forward here. Eddie says the 49ers are for real, but the Rams will be more desperate team and win at home this week. They can't afford to lose this week. If they do, I don't think they can recover and make it back to the playoffs. Well, 3-3. Again, the NFC is definitely the conference to beat. You look at the NFC North and everything they're doing. That looks like a tough division. It's going to be hard to get two teams from the NFC West when we talk about the Seahawks being great. Both these teams absolutely need this. Maybe desperation comes into it. But this has been a Rams team looking for a spark all season long. And except against Tampa Bay where they put up like 99 points, we have not seen a Rams offense play incredibly well all season long. Now we'll talk Falcons, who Michael's already jumping the gun a little bit. He's out in front of me saying the Falcons are winning this game. Do you think so?
I do think so. And to be honest, it was...
Well, hold on now. You were the guy saying, I'm done picking the Falcons.
I know.
And I said that week one.
And it was hard for me to pick them. It's just... There's so much talent on that offensive side of the ball that you're kind of... At some point in time, it has to light on fire, right?
No, the offensive line is bad. Devontae Freeman looks bad. They're missing Kyle Shanahan, who made this team look amazing. Even though I like Dirk Cotter as a play caller, offensively anyway. I don't think he's a great head coach, but I think the Buccaneers should have hung on to him. I think when you look at this Falcons offense, they have a passing game, and that's it. The defense is trash. There's no other way to describe it. The defense is terrible. You let the Titans dunk on you. You let Houston absolutely dunk on you. This defense, you might as well write it off. For having a defensive coach like Dan Quinn, this might be the game that gets you fired. Like, if they don't step up to the plate and play well against the Cardinals defensively, maybe it's time to get a new head coach.
Jacob, don't worry about it, man. A lot of people don't know what the lineup means. Just so you're aware of it, the bottom set of the cans are the home games, and their opponents are on the top. And it's obviously throughout it Thursday. And then
we get a lot of people that are like, why is my team on the bottom? Because they're on the road. Or because they're at home. Yeah. Because they're at home. Sorry. See, I don't get it.
Ian's going with the Cardinals a win here. And Eric is saying the 49ers are going to win the NFC West champ. Man. Steven says Cardinals in an upset. Falcons are not any good other than their passing game.
Amen.
And that's not even as
Finally, we
good
agree
as
on
it once was.
Yes.
But there's so much proven talent on
Banged
there.
up Calvin Ridley. Julio looks old and slow, and they don't seem to get him. Believe me, I got this man on my fantasy team. When I was watching him last week, and he had 5 points, and they're playing a bad defense in the Texans, or at least a bad secondary in the Texans, and they're not getting the ball to Julio Jones. I'm like, what are you doing? And I like Dirk Cotter. I think he should still be Tampa Bay's offensive coordinator. When you look at the way they've struggled... Coach. Yes, I still think... Well, that too. I think he should still be in Tampa Bay when you look at the way the offense succeeded with him. I can't point to this game and say it's going to be an easy win for the Falcons. I cannot do it because they have been so bad. But then again, I look at the Cardinals, and yeah, they got their win, right? Yeah. They're not totally defeated now, and they tied the Lions, so they've had good moments this year. But no Patrick Peterson still, no Robert Alford still. This secondary is just absolutely atrocious. They're missing a lot up front. How do you bet on either of these teams?
It is proven talent from 2 years plus ago. This team still has a talented roster. There's a lot of teams on this.
What's changed? The offensive coordinator, Kyle Shanahan is gone.
Which
and now the 49ers look great. Yeah. 49ers look great with him, don't they?
Well, they finally now are starting to win games.
And everyone was saying fire him, and they were ridiculous for that. But hey, whatever. I'm not going into that right now. I'm with you. They have talent. You can't tell me Julio's not talented. You can't tell me Mohamed Sanu isn't a good guy to have in your receiving group. You can't tell me Austin Hooper isn't bad because he's like the 5th rated tight end every year.
I might tell you Freeman's not that good.
He's not Zach Ertz, but he's good. Well, Freeman doesn't look good after the injury. And I'm a Freeman guy. I've been a guy. I've been all in on it.
Coleman's left.
I think it's
That
more
1-2 punch.
I think it's more offensive line. I think the offensive line is just getting dominated in a way that it wasn't before.
And I believed you, and I
they need to
drafted him
step
in my
up.
fantasy league, and I'm kind of mad at you.
Well, he had a good week these past 2 weeks, right? He's on the comeback trail. So don't give up on him yet.
Okay.
I just started Josh Gordon in my flex spot. I should have played Devontae Freeman. How about that?
Yeah. So you tell me to play him, and then you go off and not play him?
No, I have him, but I didn't play him this week.
Oh.
Look, when you look at the Falcons, they're not the Super Bowl team. They're missing the offensive coordinator. They're missing the second best, maybe third if you like Andy Reid, offensive mind in football. And maybe I still give it to McVay. Maybe I'm overrating McVay a little bit there. It's debatable. They've got one of the top 3 or 4 guys in Kyle Shanahan, or they had one of the top 3 or 4 guys in Kyle Shanahan that is now gone, and Matt Ryan looks like an 8th best quarterback instead of the 3rd best quarterback. I think without that scheme, Matt Ryan is not the same guy. The offensive line is taking steps back. The Falcons are a really tough team to bet on, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick them to beat the hapless Cardinals.
Ian says, worst Super Bowl scenario, San Francisco against New England Patriots. Neither one gets 6 or 7.
Yeah, let me think. Who else could make it? It could be Detroit, who you love, versus, I don't know, the Bills, because they have a miraculous run. And we see Detroit versus Buffalo, and it's 7-9. Sorry, Buffalo fans.
Or Detroit fans.
Or anyone that has to watch that game.
I'd watch it.
I'd watch it too, but I'll watch any football game.
Let's move on to the next game.
Sure.
Let's talk about
We're going Falcons. Got to go Falcons. Don't love the Cardinals. Don't love the Falcons. Got to go Falcons.
And we picked the Falcons during the offseason too. This is the game that you've been waiting
You said
to talk
10-6. They're not going 10-6, but I'm ready to talk about the next one.
I know I did, okay?
It's tough.
You also said the Titans were a good team.
And they should be. If you look at their talent, they should be.
Then the Falcons should be a good team.
Should their defense be good?
They went to a
sucked.
Super Bowl more recent than the Titans have.
Okay, but they went to a Super Bowl more recently than a lot of other teams have. All right. Falcons suck. That's the moral of the story.
The Titans. Let's talk about them.
Let's talk about them. I don't know that they're going to beat the Broncos. And that's the most depressing thing. The Broncos are 1-4, had a big win against the Chargers last week. Did they do it against a non-division opponent? I'm going to kick it to you, and then I'll talk for 40 minutes.
Michael's
saying Denver. Thanks,
to be
Michael.
honest, I really thought I wanted to go Denver here. You know, it's snowing up in Colorado. I was thinking if it's still snowing, I think this kind of favors a little bit on Denver's side. They're used to the cold. I thought, this might be good. Well, it's going to be like 70 degrees up there on Sunday. I don't think that this favors the Denver as well. Yes, it's a tough place to play, but I think the Titans are going to rely heavily on Derrick Henry, and maybe every once in a while Marcus Mariota might find A.J. Brown or Corey, whatever his name is, because he's not a really good receiver. And
he would be in Kansas City or Green Bay or New England or anywhere else.
Then I might know his name, Corey Davis. And
then Corey. I'm on a first-name basis with him. Met him one time.
Hey,
Corey.
And asked him if he was ready to be a Kansas City Chief. Did not like that comment.
And you saw the hurt in his eyes. He was like, please, take me away from here. Get me a quarterback. I'm begging you. They say I suck, Drew. They say I suck.
But I'm gonna go the Titans. I think the Titans win this game. I think that the Denver Broncos have too much woes and worries on offense, including their defense. Everything seems to be in shambles. I like Vic Fangio, but it just at this point, it seems like a disaster, and he's just going to need a couple of years to fix everything around it. And especially with Bradley Chubb out,
rebuild, baby.
It's definitely rebuilding mode.
I'm going to go to a couple comments, and then again, I'll rant at you for a second about my team. But Ian says Tennessee because it's Flacco, but the Broncos could say the same thing. Broncos because it's Mariota, right? Who knows? This is another one of those kind of toss-up games. Steven says Denver wins. This is a week Mariota loses his job, and Denver is a tough place still. Mile High is tough to play in. I'll give you that, especially when you're talking about bringing in a new kicker who's now got to go kick it Mile High. There might be no more difficult when you talk about the wind. Maybe Pittsburgh with the wind in there.
Could you imagine the Patriots have to go up to Denver once a year?
With the way they play right now, we'd be talking about the same thing. Dude, Denver sucks, and they just beat up on bad teams. Denver from 4 years ago? Maybe not. Also, and Ian says, because of Flacco, I'm with you on that. Michael says, no problem, when I said thank you. Steven says, it's not only snowing, it's literally been like 10 degrees the last 2 days there in Denver. It's tough, but apparently it's going to be like 70 for this game.
I think he's in Colorado Springs, but still, love it, man. Miss it. I miss it.
Absolutely. Jonah says Denver is struggling so bad that the Titans will win. What do you guys think about the Super Bowl matchup for this season? Let me say this, Jonah. I have no idea, but I think the AFC Championship might be the best game because is anyone picking anyone besides the Chiefs and the Patriots of the AFC to go to the AFC Championship? I think that'll be the one to watch. I think the Saints are tough. I think if Drew Brees comes back, we'll see them play to their potential. There's not another NFC team, maybe the Packers, that I can say that are just
Niners,
going.
Man?
Well, no, I'm not in on the Niners like I am on the Packers. I think when you look at the NFC, there's not one team I can point to except maybe the Saints that I'm like they've got a chance to go, or like I'm gonna put my money on them. How about that? Because there are a lot of teams that could go. It could be the Bears that recover and figure everything out. It could be the 49ers who, like you said, they just keep showing up. They keep shutting up critics like me.
The Niners going to the Super Bowl. You got me?
Yeah, I got you. Well, I'll give you a beer. That's like $5 if you go to a bar. I got that. That's a beer bet. The Niners don't go to the Super Bowl.
I don't want to do that bet. I was just,
exactly. It could be the Eagles. It could be the Cowboys. It could be a lot of teams in the NFC. The AFC seems pretty cut and dried. It's going to be the Chiefs or it's going to be the Patriots.
How about this? If the Niners go to the Super Bowl, you owe me $1,000. But if they don't go, I owe you $1.
1,000 to 1 odds, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty generous. Seeing as how Leicester City got 5,000 to 1 odds, seems like a good deal. I'm going to go with no. I don't think I'm going to take that bet. I don't stand to gain a whole lot there. Jonah, look, it's right now, again, I think it's Chiefs, Patriots in the AFC. NFC, anybody's game. Even the Saints could fall apart, right? Drew Brees doesn't come back from that thumb injury, and they have to play with Teddy Bridgewater. Any one of these NFC teams could beat them in the playoffs. It could be the Vikings, could be the Eagles, could be the Seahawks,
Bears.
Could be the Rams, could be the 49ers, could be the Bears, could be the Lions. Ian, looking at you. You were the one who said that from the beginning. The NFC is anybody's game. The AFC is a two-horse race, it seems like, unless the Ravens figure out their defense.
Steven's still digging in the dagger over here. Says the Bears still stuck. Had that song. Bears still suck. Had that song stuck in my head all week. It's been great.
And Eddie says the Titans will win. Going back to what we're talking about, Eddie says the Titans will win. They lost last week, so they'll win this week. That's what they do. Amen, Eddie. You know my team better than I do. How about that? This is a team that may lose to Denver, and they may lose to Oakland coming up.
Remember when you picked against them and they won?
Yeah, and remember when I picked them and they lost? Like every time? Well, I'm going to pick them this week. I'm going to pick the Titans here. I think the running game will be enough. Derrick Henry going up against a defensive front not set up to stop the run, but instead rush the passer, I think should be able to feast. I think even though this is in Mile High, the Titans need this one. Again, they're 2-3 in the division. Losing this would put them at 2-4 with teams like Jacksonville and teams like Indianapolis way out in front of them. If that happens, maybe we talk about firing Mike Vrabel. And it's early, but maybe we talk about firing Mike Vrabel.
Jonah's trying to get me $1,000. He said, in his honest opinion, and going off the first few games, he thinks it should be San Francisco 49ers against New England Patriots. He is trying to help me win $1,000.
Well, let me say this. If I get 1,000 to 1 odds on anything, I'll put the dollar down. I'll put $32 on every team, and you give me 1,000 when one of those wins. I'll take 1,000 to 1 odds pretty much in any bet.
Dude, I will buy a nuclear bomb so that does not happen.
All right, Kim Jong-un, settle down.
All right. I got to win $1,000.
Final thoughts on the Titans-Broncos, because I know nobody cares about this game from two losing teams.
You know what? Now we're on the FBI radar.
I know. And Facebook's ready to shadow ban us. Here we go.
Sorry.
My bad.
Well, that's it for Sports Around the Bar, guys.
I think I just heard a knock on the door. Let's talk about the Titans real quick, and we'll get out of here. Or let's talk about the Broncos real quick in this game. It's got to be Von Miller here. Von Miller needs to get some strip sacks. He needs to basically carry this defense. Even though I love Chris Harris, who do you cover out of this Titans receiving group? Corey Davis could go off. It could be A.J. Brown. It could be Adam Humphries. It could be Delaney Walker. Take any one of those guys, and none of them are a better option than the other. Is my point. None of them are a better option than the other. Even though A.J. Brown started off the season really well, he looks like he's great.
Will be. Yeah.
Yeah, when he leaves Tennessee. What did I say about Corey Davis? He'll be great when he leaves Tennessee.
When he goes to Kansas City, right.
Or I didn't say Kansas City. I said when he leaves.
No, I asked him.
Potential.
He agreed.
Yeah, he agreed. Okay. I think the Titans have too many receivers for the Broncos, who have one amazing corner and a lot of blah everywhere else, to shut down this Titans passing offense, so it's going to be on their pass rush. I think they need to frustrate Mariota. They need to take the ball away from him, and they need to generate some turnovers that he's not, to his credit, given up this year. I think the Titans win this game. I think it's going to be ugly. I don't love Mile High Stadium for a new kicker, even though the ball travels farther. It's still a different atmosphere than usually you're used to playing at when you're playing that high up. They just signed Cody Parkey, but I'll take a double doink over just a flat-out miss from last week. I think the Titans win, but I think it's close. And they'll probably lose because I'm picking them, but I'll say Titans here.
Yeah, I'm picking the Titans as well. I think it literally comes down to a field goal, and I I think that maybe Cody Parkey just kind of hopes to do better. I think it's going to be that close. I really do. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think it's not going to be fun to watch.
Welcome to Tennessee. None of them are fun to watch.
Somehow,
it's always 17 to 16.
It's going to be the game I'm going to end up watching, and I'm going to regret every bit of it.
I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to be hurt. Last week, I don't know that I would have been able to do the show right after the Titans got cheated cheated playing the Bills. They got cheated. I think when I watch the Broncos play against them, I'm going to be hurt coming on here and be like, why are we even talking NFL? Let's talk about basketball.
Talk about baseball.
Nah.
The Yankees and the Astros. Go Yankees, huh?
What did I say? Yankees and Astros, right? I was like, if there's a team in the AL that's going to beat the Astros, it's going to be the Yankees.
Yeah.
And what did
Pinstripes.
Yeah.
Buddy.
I think it's still Astros. Did you see Garrett Cole? That guy's a monster. And you know what? He's going to be wearing pinstripes next year because he's a free agent. And
Tampa
the
Bay
Yankees
almost beat him, and they have the lowest.
Tampa Bay almost beat, if you look at
in the whole MLB.
And the Braves almost beat the Cardinals, and then they played Game 5, and they didn't.
Yeah, they scored 10 runs
in the first inning. I know. And then they didn't, like I said. All right, we'll move on. We'll talk about the Cowboys and Jets. Let's stay on track here.
Is this a game? Yeah, Sam Darnold's back, but he's, as Steven, you know, you're all weak from mono from kissing boys. That's how you get mono, by the way, because I never had it. And
didn't you tell me you had mono before?
No, I've never had mono. But I'm pretty sure that's how you get it from kissing boys. So it didn't make a difference here. I'm sorry. The Cowboys, yeah, they look terrible. But look at the Jets. They're just even that much worse. Cowboys are going to have a bounce-back game. They're going to get themselves in the right motion and getting forward and looking a lot better. And everyone's going to go back to how the Cowboys are so great, especially them Cowboy fans. The Jets are just kind of just a speed bump in the way. There's no offense. It's just going to take a couple of weeks for Sam Darnold to finally kind of get himself back into rhythm.
It's the same thing I've been saying forever. They need weapons in New York. The Jets need to get some guys that Sam Darnold, who is supposed to be a franchise quarterback to throw to, instead they paid Quincy Nunwa. They still got Robbie Anderson. They brought in Jamison Crowder, who in his own right is a great third receiver, but not the guy you want headlining your offense. I don't care if Sam Darnold plays or not. Until they get some receivers here, the Jets are going to be a boring offense to watch. They're going to be it's going to be a Tennessee-style offense to watch, where Le'Veon Bell's going to do what he can, and then it's on the defense to win games. I don't care how good a quarterback Sam Darnold could grow to be. You got to give him some weapons. They have not done that, and the Jets are not going to win against the Cowboys. It's going to be another game the Cowboys win, and they dominate, and Cowboys fans will be back. They'll be like, oh, another great win for us, right? I mean, they're celebrating out in the streets, and they're dunking on the bad teams. I think that's exactly what this is going to be. You're getting a guy coming back from mono, which, again, not an injury we're used to seeing in the NFL, but still something that can mess up your game. I think the Jets are going to get blown out here. I think this is all Cowboys. There's no way you can look at this game and say, I'm going to take the Jets over the Cowboys, who, even though they've got beat by good teams, have dominated the bad ones.
Steven says you're doing it all wrong. The Raiders are 2-0 when he's picked against them. I'm not going
Same
back
with the Titans.
Keeping that with what works.
I think the only game I got right for the Titans has been the Cleveland one. Yeah. And I got to flex on you. And I was like, my team's great. We just blew out the Super Bowl champions. Yeah. So we're pretty good. And then what happened? We sucked after that. Welcome to Tennessee. Thank you, guys.
Ian says, just take this one. Bell goes off. But seriously, the Cowboys beat another scrappy team.
Has Bell gone off at all this year? Again, I was the guy.
I'm allergic to bullshit. Excuse me. Sorry, Ian.
I was saying, don't take Bell in your fantasy league. This is another week. I don't want to play Le'Veon Bell. You have to if you took him, right? If he's on your fantasy team, you let it ride, and maybe we get old Le'Veon Bell.
I don't know why you're so... Dude, they've been using him. He's the only guy they're using.
He's rushing like 35 times for 43 yards.
Because the rest of the team sucks.
And that's why you don't take him, because the rest of the team sucks.
But they have to use him.
I know, but he doesn't get yards, and that's the problem. I think, again, when you look at this Jets team, it's not on Le'Veon Bell. We're going to talk about Le'Veon Bell being why did he leave the Steelers, all this other stuff. That's what happens when an offense has very few weapons. And not that I hate Jamison Crowder, but like I said, I think he's the best third receiver in the NFL, except maybe Tyler Lockett. I think Jamison Crowder is a great depth wide receiver that needs some great names playing with him to make an impact. Right now, the Jets don't have those names.
Did you say Tyler Lockett's the best receiver in the NFL?
Best third wide receiver in the NFL, yeah.
No, you meant just the best.
I'm glad Tyler Lockett's playing with Russell Wilson. Let me say that. He looks great because he plays with Russell Wilson.
What I'm really glad is he's not on a Titans team.
Yeah, because he'd be bad, and you'd be like, dude, this guy's trash. He's terrible. Tyler Lockett sucks.
I would never say that.
You said that, about Tyler Lockett because you love him.
No, any Kansas State player I wouldn't say that about.
Okay, all right.
Dalton Reiser plays for the Denver Broncos. He's going to be a great offensive lineman. I think he plays for the Broncos. I don't remember now.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just throwing that out there.
Finally, Cowboys, run the rock here.
Yes.
Cowboys, pass the rock here.
Dallas blows this one away. Thank you, Ian. Jonah says, true, but who have they lost to? They're basically need to get rid of Roethlisberger and get a new quarterback. They're bringing up the Steelers.
Anytime it's a second or third quarterback, if it's a second quarterback, you're lucky to win a game. If it's a third quarterback, like we're talking about playing this week with Mason Rudolph out, write him off. I know we're talking about Sunday night and this is Chargers, everything else. The Steelers are doing a lot with a little. They've lost a lot of talent here lately with guys like Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown deciding they're going to have greener pastures elsewhere, and it turns out they have not. I don't think it's time to get rid of Roethlisberger. You almost need to hang on to him. Have you seen Mason Rudolph play? Not that he's a bad player. Is Mason Rudolph Big Ben Roethlisberger? I haven't seen it yet.
Call him Big Ben Roethlisberger. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Is Mason Rudolph a great quarterback?
No.
Could he eventually be a decent quarterback? Maybe. I haven't been I haven't watched him and said, man, this guy's terrible. I've seen some stuff out of Mason Rudolph that I'm like, maybe in the future we could see a little bit of something because I don't think the roster for the Steelers on offense is great. But anytime you lose all that talent and you lose your starting quarterback, it's hard to pick that team to be great. Jonah, that's all I can say. And Ian says, bless you.
Yeah, I said thank you. Ian says, no way. Hodges will be fine. Still has hope. Pittsburgh Steelers for life.
We're not talking Sunday night. It's the Chargers. They're fool's gold. Who knows? Maybe. They like to let teams like the Steelers hang around in these games.
And Steven says,
I got to think about it.
Steven says, what a great week for all of us. We don't have to watch the silver and black. Raiders in Green Bay next week will be another disappointing game for all of us to watch.
You might have misquoted him there, but I get the gist of what you're saying, Steven. I can't wait to watch that game too, because just like a lot of teams like Indianapolis, we're going to get to find out, are the Raiders legit when you're going up against a team like the Packers?
Yeah.
They have had some of the best mentality wins I've seen this season from a lot of groups that should be playing better than they are, and they come into games and they let their guard down and get beaten.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that a lot out of the Raiders. Maybe you could say the Vikings game, where they didn't exactly get off the bus and they didn't look as good. Except for that, the Raiders seem like they're on track to play well. Regardless of how good the roster is, they seem like they want to win.
Steven, I'll give you this, man. To be honest, it's not going to be an easy pick. And I'm not going to sit there and tell you who I'm picking, who I'm not. And I know
which means Drew's taking the Packers.
I'm not. I'm not saying that.
Well, I'm taking the Packers. But go ahead.
To be honest with you, it makes it that much harder to pick because I legitimately, and I know you did too, thought they had no chance of beating the Bears.
Yeah, I did.
I think you have to rethink every game so far until they go on a crazy losing streak that you might have to think about the Raiders beating teams like the Packers.
The Packers are one completion from Jimmy Graham away from being 5-0. I think they're a better team. That being said,
also one penalty from having a Super Bowl ring in Kansas City. The second one. So, I mean, regardless of how you put it.
No, I give you that. But, again, they got blown out by the Vikings. I don't think they're the best team in football, the Raiders. I think roster-wise, they're still missing some talent. But I think mentality-wise, they might be the most motivated, the most determined team in the NFL, playing like you want to see your team play, where they come out and they play hard every week, and we see them get fast starts against the Bears and against the Colts and against the Broncos, and that can be enough to win you games. Yeah. My question is, does it happen again against a team that also seems pretty motivated, like the Packers?
Guys, we're going to get out of here. Again, thank you again for all the likes, comments, shares. It means the world to us. All the comments are so overwhelming. We love talking sports with you. Let's go ahead and hit some of these last comments real quick.
Ian says, Jake, double or nothing on our beer bet on Detroit. Think about it. Ask me on Sunday, Ian. I'm definitely down for double or nothing there. I think I might go Pack there. We'll see. Steven also says, you have to pick the Pack, Jake. Oakland is 0-2 when you pick them and 3-0 when you don't. So please keep it going. I know. Every time I bet on Oakland, they let me down. And every time I don't. I picked them against I picked them against the Vikings. And you know what happened? I got hurt. So I think I'm going to go Packers there too.
Real deep.
Ask me on Sunday night.
Jonathan, good to see you, man. By all means, please rewatch it.
We did talk Eagles. We spent a lot of time on them against the Vikings. Again, second best game this week behind the Texans and Chiefs. Very important for the NFC playoff picture. Go back and see what we said, because I know you're an Eagles fan, man. Let's do some special thanks.
Yeah, guys. Of course, Cherie, my beautiful wife, was the first to comment. And then there's Ian, Nate, Steven, Will, Devin, Sharif, Austin, Scott, Eric, Zach, Eric, Matthew, Frank, Jesse, Jeremy, Eddie, Mark, Michael, Jacob, Jonah, Jonathan, you guys are all awesome. Thank you so much.
A lot of J's there. Jonathan says, sorry, he just got here. What do we think about the Eagles and Vikings? The long and the short of it is we're both taking the... I'm taking the Eagles and Drew's taking the Vikings. This is the game to watch. I think your defensive line is going to frustrate Kirk Cousins enough to the point where they win this game. Drew's saying he's going to take all those offensive weapons they have and say they're going to beat a Eagles secondary that has struggled as well in that game. That's the key matchup for us. We went in depth on it, man. Go rewatch it because I know you're an Eagles fan, and I think you'll appreciate it. I think this is going to be a very important game for Philadelphia because you don't want to fall to 3-3 with the Cowboys in reach.
And Jonathan, if you were live with us, I would have picked the Eagles to win, but you weren't there to defend your team, so I had to go the opposite direction.
Ian, we will see you Sunday. We will be back at 6:45 Central, 7:45 Eastern on Sunday night to talk about all the action we just talked about, what happened, where we were right, where we were wrong. We'll talk about all that. We hope you're there for it. And we'll also talk about these Sunday and Monday night games and preview everything going into it. We'll try to get out of here before Sunday Night Football, but it never happens. We hope to see you then.
Guys,
I'm sorry, it only happens when the Chiefs are on.
I missed part of... No, I didn't.
You missed 8 seconds.
I watched it on my phone. Guys, thank you again for all the likes, comments, and shares. It means absolutely the world to us. You are the reason why we do this. This was a great show. Thank you again. Jake, want to send us out?
We'll be back on Sunday, guys. Thank you so much again for all the likes, the views, the shares. It's been a good episode. I saw us up to 32. Facebook has been killing us lately, so it means a lot that you spent some time with us today. We'll be back on Sunday. We hope to see you there.